Hello my friends, this video has been highly requested, and today we're finally getting around to doing a ranking video on every single Hermes Kelly bag that I could think of. I almost said that every single Kelly bag that exists, but that wouldn't be possible because it's kind of shocking to think about how many different iterations of the Kelly bag there are out there. But I tried to collect some that I felt were really interesting and noteworthy, and others that I'm really often asked about. So without further ado, if you'd like to hear my mini review on some of the most popular and most iconic Kelly bags out there, then make sure to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe down below if you haven't done so yet, and keep on watching. As per usual, we're going to be using the tier maker app that I always use, and if you have not seen my previous ranking videos before, I will link my entire playlist in the info box because I feel like I've ranked almost every single Hermes piece that exists. So if you're into these sort of ranking videos, make sure that you check out that playlist. And if you'd like me to rank anything else out there, do let me know in the comment section because I love filming these videos for you. But if you have not seen these videos from me, let me walk you through the tiers really quick. So on top, we have must-haves. Obviously, these are not pieces that you need. You don't need to spend this kind of money on anything out there. But if you are working on building your Hermes collection, if you have always wanted to add a Kelly bag to your collection, the pieces that we'll put in here are definitely worth your hard-earned money. Underneath that, appreciate from the far. These are Kelly bags that I do like, but they are just simply not my favorite for one reason or another. Underneath that, we have acquired taste, which I feel like will work for some people, but probably won't for the majority of us out there. And then underneath that, we have pass, which are obviously the Hermes bags that I would not spend my money on, and I would not recommend that you do either. But without further ado, let's jump straight in because we have quite a few bags to get through. So the first bag that we have here is a Kelly Touch bag. So there are different iterations of the Kelly Touch bags out there, and in case you're not familiar with what touch means when it comes to Hermes Touch bags, which there are Birkins, there are Picotins, there are SLGs, but here obviously we're talking about the Hermes Kelly family, so we're mainly going to be discussing the Hermes Kelly bag line. These are traditional Hermes bags that are made up of regular Hermes leathers, but feature just a touch of exotic. There have been two different versions of the Kelly Touch bags. The original Kelly Touch bags, where it was only the handle of the bags that featured a piece of exotic skin, and then the newer touch bags where not only the handle is made of exotic skin, but also the sangles, the clochette, and then the Kelly lock is also wrapped in the same exotic skin as the rest of the highlighted pieces, which I do have an entire dedicated video sharing my thoughts on the Hermes Touch line in general. Long story short, I don't think that they are worth your money when it comes to the Kelly bag. I just don't think you get enough of an exotic touch for it to worth the really steep price. So for me, all of the Kelly Touch pieces are going to be an acquired taste. I don't think that they are the worst things out there. If you have every single Kelly bag under the sun and you're looking for something special, they're definitely something to consider, but personally it's just not something that I would go out of my way to get my hands on. But they do come in both Sellier and return structures, and then more often than not you'll find these touch pieces in size 25 and 28. I feel like I need to slow down, but there's just so much that I want to share with you guys. You know that I'm not known for being concise and we have so many bags to get through, but I'll try my best to give you all the core information that you need to know about all these pieces. So the next piece that we have here is the Kelly Ado backpack, which similar to the Kelly Touch line has gone through a few different iterations, but well, to be honest, the Kelly Ado backpack that we're looking at here, this version launched I want to say around 2017, 2018, and then the previous Kelly Ado bags are considered vintage at this point, which were quite different, but the Kelly Ado backpack line is a backpack take on the Kelly bag. The original Kelly Ado backpacks, which let's just call them the vintage Kelly Ado backpacks, were a slightly different shape. They were a lot more structured, and they also had a top handle, whereas the new Kelly Ado backpack, the modern Kelly Ados, don't actually feature a top handle. They're a lot softer and also quite a bit more petite. These are bags that I think I've been offered a couple of times. I never really considered adding these to my collection just because they're really quite small, but if you're petite yourself and you love a backpack, these are great pieces to have in your collection, but do keep in mind that they are really, really small for a backpack, which might be exactly what you need. But if you want a bag that's hands-free, if you need a casual laid-back bag, which these are beautifully crafted, more often than not you'll find them in a beautiful grained buttery skin, and you can not only buy them with the canvas straps that we see here, but you can also find them in a full leather version where the straps are made of the exact same leather as the body of the bag, and you can also buy them in exotic skins in case it is something that you're extremely drawn to. Personally, the Kelly backpack I do like the look of. Again, it's not something that I personally ever considered buying just because the proportions wouldn't suit me and it only comes in one size. But I have friends who own this bag and I think it looks honestly just gorgeous on them. The next bag that we have here is a classic traditional Kelly Sellier in size 25, and as you can see from the lineup, we're not going to be going through every single size of the traditional Kelly bags, but Kelly bags do come in 5 sizes, so you can pick up a traditional Kelly bag in size 20, which is considered a mini Kelly, size 25, 28, 32, 35, 40, and then you also have the Maxi Kellys, which are slightly bigger than those. But when it comes to the traditional lineup, I personally, on myself, I used to like a Kelly 20, not that much these days, but I would personally, with my proportions, go for a Kelly 35 and upward. But if you're a little bit more petite, I think you're going to like anything underneath a 32. And then when it comes to Sellier and return structures, the reason I put this bag in here is because I quickly wanted to discuss the difference between Sellier and return bags. So if you're new to Hermes, these might not be terms that you're familiar with, but Sellier bags have the stitching on the outside, whereas return bags have the stitching hidden on the inside, which makes them a lot softer, a lot more slouchy, a lot more relaxed. Personally, when it comes to Sellier bags, I do prefer Sellier bags in smaller sizes, so I really wouldn't go for a Sellier bag above a size 28. I would stick to getting a return bag above that, and then when it comes to return bags, obviously I wouldn't pick up a small bag in return. I would much prefer to pick up a larger bag in return structure. That's kind of my rule of thumb. Of course, there are exceptions, and it all depends on your personal proportions, but that's generally what I prefer. And when it comes to a Sellier Kelly bag, it's honestly not something that you can go wrong with. I think it is one of the most classic, iconic, beautiful shapes out there. If you are trying to think whether you should go for a Sellier or a return bag, you like both, but you're not really sure where to begin, I would say that Sellier bags tend to look a lot more formal, whereas return bags are a lot more casual. That's basically all that there is to it, and obviously you can dress them up or dress them down, but in general Sellier bags tend to add a lot more of a formal look to an outfit that you're going to style them with. This next one I'm going to keep short and sweet because we have just talked about the Kelly cup bag in my last Q&A, so if you have not seen that, make sure to have that video linked up here in the corner for you, where I go into details on why I personally do not like the Kelly cup bags. In fact, it is one of my least favorite Hermes bags, so not surprisingly, it is going to be a pass. And so is, should I put this under pass? No, I don't dislike this as much as I dislike the Kelly cut, so maybe I'm going to say acquired taste, which here we have the Kelly Depeche 25, the clutch bag version of the Kelly Depeche bags, which launched, I think these bags launched in 2018, 2019. It's a bag that I was offered once or twice, but I turned them down because it's just not a bag that personally I would have a use for in my collection. If you have never seen these before, these are quite small and thin sort of clutch bag takes on the iconic Kelly bag. They do feature a removable strap, which I don't love. I feel like if you're going to get this bag, you should take that weird little strap off and just carry it as you would any other clutch bag out there, but these are actually part of their men's collection. Not that it matters which collection they launch as part of, you should buy whatever makes you happy regardless of labels. But I did think when I was offered this bag that I would much rather go for a Kelly Pochette instead of this bag, because I think you could fit a lot more into the Kelly Pochette. I prefer the proportions and the dimensions of the Kelly Pochette over this bag, but if you're looking for more of a masculine take on the Kelly bag, this is definitely something that you could consider. There's nothing wrong with it, but personally it's just not something that I love the look and the idea of. And then the next bag that we have here is a Kelly 25 in now return structure. So we already kind of went through the basics of a Kelly return versus a Kelly Sellier bag. Again, similar to the Sellier bag, I do think that it is a great staple, basic, but basic in the best way possible, piece to have in your collection if you are drawn to Hermes bags, if it's an aesthetic that you appreciate. Getting a Kelly bag in return structure is just not something that you can go wrong with. Again, I would personally prefer a slouchy, softer bag in a larger size. So even if you're petite, I would not go, I would say I wouldn't go below a Kelly return in size 28. In 25, it looks beautiful, but I think in a size 25, you're better off getting it in a Sellier structure, but that's just my personal opinion. And speaking of return, this might be a bag that you haven't seen before, because believe it or not, there was a point in time when you could buy a mini Kelly, which measures 20 centimeters, both in a Sellier and a return structure. These days, the mini Kelly only comes in a Sellier structure, which I can completely understand and see why that is. But in the past, the vintage mini Kellys, the vintage Kelly 20s were available both in a Sellier and a return structure. And here we're looking at a return mini Kelly, which is no longer in production. As you can see in this picture, the original Kelly 20s were a lot more of a literal interpretation of the original Kelly bags. They really didn't change too much about the overall shape and the idea. They just made them smaller. Whereas when you compare this to the current mini Kellys, you can see that the current mini Kellys just look and feel a lot more sophisticated, a lot more well thought out, a lot more compact. I think that's the best way of putting it. Whereas these bags were fine, but I think they look just a little tired and aged. So for me, the vintage mini Kellys are going to be a major pass, mainly because of the handle. I don't like how tall the handles are. I think these tall handles just make really any bag out there, but especially these, look and feel quite outdated. It is fully pouring outside, which is shocking because about 45 minutes ago I was at the park with Pi and he was swimming and it was the most glorious day. So I have no idea what's happened, but if you can hear some background noise, if you can see some weird lights, that's what's going on. But now that I have given you the weather report for today, it's time to get back to some of our Kelly bags. And the next bag is actually a limited edition so-called exceptional bag, which walked the runway for fall winter 2022, I believe. And if you're not familiar with exceptional bags, what that means, what they are, I will make sure to have a video linked up here for you, which is actually the unboxing of my very first exceptional bag from Hermes. But here we're looking at the Kelly Desordre bag, which is a really funky take on the Kelly bag. It features no handles, instead it has a single shoulder strap, which really isn't that long. It would really only allow you to carry it as a shoulder bag, but it would be quite uncomfortable for you to carry it as a shoulder bag because it actually has two Kelly twist closures, one on each side. So no matter which way you're carrying this bag, you're always going to have something digging into your side. So the only way to carry this in a more practical way is to grab the straps and carry it as a handheld bag, which, I mean, look, it's an exceptional bag. It really was just a chance for an artisan to run wild with their imagination. It wasn't really made for everyday use, so I'm going to say that it is an acquired taste. This next bag, on the other hand, I adore. I do have several reviews on my Kelly Pochette, so if there's anything you ever wanted to know about the Kelly Pochette, I will have all of my in-depth reviews and comparison videos linked down below for you. But long story short, it's a bag that I adore, and I would say that it is a must-have if you do like a small bag. I personally prefer the Kelly Pochette over the mini Kelly. On the opposite end of the spectrum, something that I also own and don't like nearly as much as I like the Kelly Pochette is the Kelly Twilly, which is the smallest itty-bitty take on the Kelly bag. It's something that was inspired by techniques used for watchmaking by Hermes. It's the tiniest little back charm that is actually functional, so you can open it and close it and use it as a bag on its own, but it really doesn't fit much other than a couple of coins and a few notes folded in there. It's a bag that I have an in-depth review on, which, I mean, it's a fun piece to have, but is it something that I would spend thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars on? Again, because I already did at one point. definitely not. It was definitely one of the silliest purchases that I have ever made. I honestly can't remember putting this picture in here, but I think the reason I put it in here is because of the Kelly Desordre. I wanted to show you what the Kelly Desordre was inspired by, which is the very, very, very original mini Kelly, the original Kelly 20. So we have already seen a Kelly 20 before that featured a top handle, but this is the actual mini Kelly, the original one that started the craze, I mean, decades ago at this point, which didn't feature a top handle. Instead, it just had a short strap that allowed you to carry it as a shoulder bag, which is what now the Kelly Desordre bag is inspired by. But if you do see a mini Kelly out there, a vintage mini Kelly that claims to be an original bag but doesn't have a shoulder strap, it's possible that it is indeed authentic, because there have been several different takes on the mini Kelly before, and I have to be honest, I much prefer this to the vintage mini Kelly with the handles. So for me, it is going to be, I think I'm going to say I appreciate this bag from the far. It's not something that would personally suit me, but I can definitely see some people styling it in a really, really cool fashion. This next bag was one of the first Hermes bags that I was ever offered. This was just before I got my first Birkin bag, which was a Birkin 40. I was offered this bag a few weeks before, which is the so-called Kelly Lakis. This bag you really don't see too much of out there, but I think it's still in production, which is a more masculine take on the Kelly bag. So it is a large Kelly bag. You usually find it in size 40, but I think it has been produced in smaller sizes too. But most often you'll see the Kelly Lakis in size 40, and it has two large pockets on the front as well as a zip pocket on the back, and the strap that it comes with is a lot thicker and a lot more substantial than what you'll see with most Kelly bags. I think it is a really cool bag, but it is insanely expensive. I mean, it's thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars more than a regular Kelly bag would be. But if you're looking for a really practical Kelly bag, if you want a Kelly bag that looks and feels substantial and is kind of a bold statement piece, it's something that you could look into. As I mentioned, Hermes doesn't make too much of it, but if you ask for it, I'm sure it's something that they could get their hands on for you. So for me, I'm going to say that I appreciate this bag from the far. There's nothing wrong with, but it's just not something that I would ever consider spending my money on. Another discontinued Kelly bag, which this one is the Kelly 15. This is from, I think, the early 2000s. There were two of these bags out there. They made a Birkin 15 and then a Kelly 15, which was this one. And I think they advertised this as a phone case back in the day. So you really don't see too much of it, not even on the Preloved market. It doesn't pop up that often, but I wanted to include it here in case you ever see this pop up at an auction or in the Preloved market and you want to know more about it. There's really not much to it. It's just an itty bitty tiny really flat take on a Kelly bag that also featured a short shoulder strap, and the Birkin 15s also came with a shoulder strap. I feel like most people who bought it now use this as a back charm on some of their larger bags. So I mean, I personally would never spend the money on it. I mean, never say never, because I did buy the Kelly Twilly at 1.2, but personally I'm not into mini bags at this point. So right now I'm going to say that it would be a pass for me. But another discontinued bag that I do adore is the So Kelly bag. I think if you're looking for an easy grab and go bag, if you're looking for something that is really casual, really laid back, it doesn't require a lot of your attention, something that is quite under the radar but is beautifully crafted, and it looks and feels like $1,000,000 without it screaming and shouting the brand name, the So Kelly is something that you cannot go wrong with, especially considering the current price of this bag on the pre-loved market, because this bag you can pick up for pennies, not literal pennies, but compared to the price of a Kelly bag currently, these you can find at such incredible prices. And then the last two pieces that we have here, we have a Kelly wallet, technically a Kelly to go, but I'm going to talk about both pieces here. I adore the Kelly wallet. It's one of my most used pieces from Hermes and one of my most used pieces in general. I use my Kelly wallets almost every single day. And when it comes to comparing the Kelly wallet to the Kelly to go, I personally prefer the Kelly wallet just because I don't like the strap that comes with the Kelly to go. I think it just looks and feels like an afterthought. It doesn't feel like a really nicely done and a really nicely executed shoulder strap. So when it comes to these two pieces, I would personally go for the original Kelly wallet over the Kelly to go. But honestly, they're both great pieces to have in your arsenal. So for me, the Kelly to go, well, the Kelly wallet is going to be a must have. And last but not least, we have an at this point discontinued bag here, which is actually being reintroduced for fall winter 2023. They have slightly tweaked it, but it's the exact same idea. So here we have the Kelly Voyage, which measured 50 centimeters, and now the new take on this is going to be called the Kelly Maxi, which is a huge blown up oversized take on the Kelly bag. The main difference between the original Kelly Voyage and the new Kelly Maxi, I think the only difference is going to be the handle. I think the handle on the new Kelly bags is a little bit more flat and a little bit thicker and more substantial, but they're both 50 centimeters and they both feature this really thick wide canvas strap. I think it is a really cool bag. If you love an oversized large bag, if you're looking for a travel bag, this is a great one to go for. It's basically the same thing as the HAC, except this is the Kelly take of it. So if you have been toying with the idea of buying an HAC for maybe traveling, but you could never pull the trigger because it is incredibly heavy and it doesn't feature a shoulder strap, I think this one would be a much better piece to try to hunt down. And you can, as I mentioned, pick it up in the now discontinued Voyage version, or you can wait to see when and if the Maxi Kelly starts hitting stores. And my friends, this completes today's video ranking every single Hermes Kelly bag. I really hope you enjoyed it, and now it's your turn to share your thoughts and your experience with us in the comments section. I cannot wait to hear what you have to say about these bags. And if you enjoyed this video and you'd like to see more from me, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't done so yet. I really appreciate you being here and watching, and I hope to see you back here with a new video really soon.